over the past few months, I've been interviewing people in my circle who have gone abroad to study, to ask them what their process was like, because I realized, of course, no one's process is the same. And I've been relying on my own process to give you information to you guys who watch these videos and who read my blog. But my story is just a single story, so I just decided to just start asking people I know who studied abroad what it was like for them. And so far I've interviewed 3 people. So the first person I talked to was Chris Bo. He's a friend of mine. He went to Belgium to study his master's. Then there's Miles Mugo. He went to London, or he initially went to Leeds, but anyway, he went to the UK to study for his undergrad, and then he also did his master's there, and he's still there. Then there's Esther Nema, who went to the US to study her undergraduate. And I've posted the stories on my blog, which I'll link all those stories in the description of this video, so you can go read them for yourself or listen to them. Because some of them have an option to listen. And I just wanted to consolidate the lessons from the 3 interviews so far. These are all Kenyans or people living in Kenya who went abroad. So there are some similarities in their messaging. The first thing is that in Kenya, there's no specific place to find this information. Honestly, if you want to go abroad to do anything, it's up to you to find that information. And so you need to use the people around you, the internet, and by all means just find information. So all these 3 people had to find information. For Esther Nema, she was in an organization that through them she ended up learning the process of going to the US, how to take the SATs, where to do the exams in Kenya, where to find a tutor, all those sorts of things. And then for Miles, he relied on one of his friends and also UNICEF, which also have these exhibits where mostly UK universities go, and like students can go and see them here in Kenya, and see options of which universities to join in the UK or in whatever country. And then Chris just did his own personal research and landed on the Belgium program. So there's no magic way. A lot of people come to me and they think that there's a specific way that they're meant to do this. There's no specific way. It's not a defined thing. So you just find your way. Just find your way and believe that with due diligence, you can find something that works. So the main thing here is not to get scammed. So don't pay anything unless you're sure that it's a legitimate program or that it's a legitimate service that's going to help you. Another thing is the length of time it will take for either to get a university that will accept you, a scholarship, or to find a program that you actually like or programs that you actually like. So the frustration of that process gets people down a lot, and they feel like the people who made it didn't go through that. Like for them, they just knew what they wanted and they were accepted and it was roses and that was it. So there's that misconception, because of course one thing about seeing someone doing what you want to do is that you don't see their struggle, you only see the end result. So you don't see them applying for so many, getting rejected, even crying, all sorts of things. Esther Nema told me how she gave up so many times. Especially her story has a lot of points where for her in terms of length of time, she probably had the longest in terms of how long it took her to get to where she wanted to be. But it was so inspiring because she just really wanted it. So it has a lot to do with just how much do you really want to do it. Is it just something you see people doing and you want to do, or is it like I really want to go study and do this thing, and I think this country or this university is the only place that I can get this experience in the best way possible. So that resilience really cannot be overstated. Then there's always this thing about having the perfect experience, or having the perfect, should I say, like the university you chose was perfect for you, it was perfect for your career, everything was just perfect and you made the perfect decision. Like that is hardly ever the case. You're doing research from Kenya to go to another country. You've never been there. You maybe you don't know anyone there. You don't. Some of the people I interviewed had family. Esther and Chris had family in the countries they went to, but even then, those people were not actively helping them in terms of they don't even know what you need. They're not in the same industry as you, so they don't even know how to help. So it's highly likely that experience you have, maybe you get there and you go to the university, there's no guarantee that it will be the best thing ever. For some people, they just want to go abroad, so they don't really even care about all of that. But in terms of just the experience in the university, it's 50-50. And the lesson there is that it's not that important, honestly, because you've already opened a door, which is either you've already gotten to this country or you've already entered the industry maybe, and then while you're in there you pivot. So for example, Miles he went to University of Leeds to study chemical engineering, and then he ended up he's currently in finance in a bank. So, and then he did his master's in finance. So that's a switch. So there's this thing about having to get it right completely, and that's not guaranteed. For me, I did journalism. I deliberately chose a program that's just broadly journalism because I was still undecided. I feel more solidified in my choices of career and what I'm doing, but I wanted those options. I just wanted a broad education that was not going to narrow me down. But some people want that. They're like, I really want to do this specific thing. Then go do that. So depending on where you are in your life and your career choices, your clarity of what you want to do, just choose something that will fit that state of your life and know that it's not the end. You can get another degree. You can just within a career just pivot, or do a small certificate and pivot. So life is a journey. Just go with the flow. You don't have to always get everything right. Sometimes that's not how it works. Just believe the decision you're making at this moment and that it's the right one for you. Then the last thing is building of communities. So when you go to that place, always make sure to build a community. Esther and Chris had their families, especially for Chris. He went to Belgium during COVID, so there was a lot of staying inside, and he got to really bond with his family over there at that time, and it was one of the great parts of his experience that he told me. And that thing of being in another country, you never know how you're going to react because you've never done it. So just being able to have or build a community. For Miles in Leeds, he formed a community out of his fellow first years, his fellow first timers who were in the university, and they grew together and created that bond. And he said how he's an introvert, so he said how he deliberately became a bit extroverted just to make sure he's creating those bonds, because he realized, lucky for him, I didn't, he realized that he needed that community to survive, basically, literally. And I agree, because for me, I didn't have that and I didn't survive. So I'll also leave my story in the description of this video. So that thing of having people around you, friendships, the ability to create friendships, because for me it was a lot of till today I have an inability to create bonds with people, and that was my downfall, so to speak. I'm on what is it called? I deferred my master's, so I'll finish my thesis later, but I finished the classes. But I just wasn't able to take that time to do my thesis because my mental state was just so bad. And one of the key things is community, like just having people who you can rely on, who care about you. And it's not easy, especially depending on the country you're going to, but it's a lot to do with yourself. It's not about having a victim mentality of no one wants to talk to me, people are racist, there's like so many things going on, but that shouldn't get to your head. You should be able to also do your part. Let me put it that way. You should be able to do your part and put yourself out there as well. And at least you'd say you've tried. And I feel like most people find one or two people they can bond with, either fellow Kenyans in that country or just your fellow classmates, but there's usually other people around that you're able to bond with. So that's what I had for today. I'll leave the 3 stories of Chris, Esther, and Miles in the description below. I'll also leave the story of my mental health during my master's below. I also help people to fine-tune their CVs and their application packages as they are going to universities abroad. So if you'd like to consult with me, I'll leave the details of that below as well. And I'll see you the next time I make a video, which who knows when that is. Okay, bye.